I said in a previous video, talked about how child porn is the like cocoon of a child molester, and it's like where they're birthed. They start out with a innocent video. hard, hard to use innocent in that sentence, but a video, and it's innocent because it's their birth, and then they're not a full-fledged child molester at this point. They're just they're a seedling that's sprouting, because look, like myself, unless I don't know it's child porn, I would never look at it. I don't never research it on the internet. I don't go to the dark web and try to find it or buy it, and I don't go to websites that sell it and all that kind of stuff, So I'm not a seed. I'll never be a seed. But the seeds that are out there, they do go on the dark web. They do try to find it, and it's just the beginning of the end, and for them, and they start with one video, and they might keep the same video, right, because they don't want to get caught, and they only keep one video on their computer, and they hide it, amongst all their files and stuff, and whatever. They're playing a game, and a game they can't win, and a game that hurts a lot of children, because once they get into the child porn, it's like they research it, they look at it, they jerk off to it, they do everything they do to it, and then they need more, because you get bored with the same video. It's like go to a newspaper store. They don't sell one porn magazine. They have a whole wall of it because people get bored of the same magazine, and they like selection. They want to have different choices. And the same goes with the child porn. It's no different. It's just the age of the participants in the porn is children. And when you make something illegal, you make it more attractive, not less attractive. And that's what happened with child porn. You made it illegal, and it became a black market gold mine, dark web gold mine, whatever. And because you got the Russian factor, the police, their hands are tied. They can't get the people who make it, and because of the internet, they don't cross the border from Russia. They stay right in Russia and ship it right out to anybody in America that wants it. And they have their ways of getting it to them. They really have very screwed up ways of getting it to you. And they hide it amongst emails and all kinds of things. Because it's a video file. They're limited to what they can do because it's so big, but they have child porn pictures. They do those too. So it's just because you made it. I don't know. I'm not advocating in any way that you make it legal, but that's the effect of making something illegal. You made pot. When you made alcohol illegal in '29. Or whatever year it was. You exploded it. You made it even worse for the country, not better. All the speakeasies, the mob was birthed from Prohibition. There was no mob before Prohibition. And what the key factor about Prohibition was? Prior to Prohibition, it wasn't cool to break the law. If you broke the law, you were a bad person, and you were treated as such. But with birthing Prohibition, it became cool to break the law. People went to the speakeasies, they went to the clubs, they were hiding, and they were drinking, and they thought they were getting away with something. And, the rum runners, and the whiskey runners, and all that stuff, they were cool people. People protected them, They made sure that whiskey got where it's supposed to go, and it was a whole thing that changed this country in a profound way. You made crime cool, and that's birthed the mob. And gambling and drugs and all the other things that they're involved in. And once you did that, you couldn't. The genie was out of the bottle, and you couldn't put it back in. And people didn't want to hear that stuff. That rum runner brought me my whiskey, and he's the greatest guy in the world, and that was their attitude, So, But back to the child porn and AA. AA is a child porn ring, and it's sex trafficking, and they're all into it. And they all got child porn on. There was a couple guys in AA that got busted. One got busted with child porn on the computer. And I thought nothing of it. He tried to downplay it and say it was only one video or one picture, and whatever. But now I know it wasn't, and it was a big deal. And that's what they do. They try to downplay everything and make it like, the cops are wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. They're making a big deal out of nothing. That's the storyline you get. And they weren't making a big deal out of nothing. Child porn is a big deal. But see, confirmation. But when you're sick like that, you think it's okay. You do. The people that go to pot places where they can, legally buy pot, they don't think at all that smoking pot is bad at all. Probably the only thing they think is the price is too high, but they don't want to quit, and they won't quit because of the price, and they don't feel they need to or have to quit. And same with the child porn. They think it's okay. They're not going to quit, and they might think the price is too high, but they're not going to quit. So, and it was birthed out of being illegal, and same as pot. You made pot illegal, and it became something that went out of control. And I don't know what the answer is, because you don't want, look, you legalize pot, and it hasn't turned out pretty good. Now you got people killing people with cars, and you can't even arrest them. So, I don't know. There's no simple answer. There's no simple answer to major problems. But nobody's trying to solve it either.